I'm Lady Zelda. Welcome to Vale Keep.
Good evening and welcome to all who have come to Vale Keep. Tonight, we are presenting to you the latest find during our renovation process. Due to the fragile nature of the top floors of the scriptorium, I decided my crew of helpers would help me with the sorting and removing of the books. You may recognize this if you are looking at the screen as the highest area near the chimney of the fireplace. This area is starting to succumb to time and becoming more unstable. Hence the reason we are starting here first. There are thousands of books in this room. That does not include the second library that would welcome guests, nor would those numbers include my own personal study. It is imperative that we concentrate on the books before we continue with the renovation plans of the removal of the third floor. My trusted assistant in this endeavor, Valdemar, and I have begun the careful removal of the volumes one by one. It is not a task undertaken lightly. Many of these works, books, journals, documents, and periodicals have endured the passing of centuries. And in this wing, some date as far back as the 13th and 14th centuries, long before my own arrival at Vale Keep. Time has rendered them delicate. Each must be handled with intention and care. We proceed with gloves, not merely for preservation, but out of respect for what has been entrusted to these pages. Each volume is prepared, examined, and secured before it is moved, as though it were being asked to leave its place for the first time in generations. During this process, we observed that one of the tall wall shelves had shifted slightly from its position. Once we were certain it could be moved without causing harm, we discovered behind it a small and deliberate concealment. There were loose papers, several journals, and a wooden box fitted with iron hinges and a latch. At that moment, all other work ceased. Such things are not hidden without purpose. The manner in which these items were placed, protected, concealed, and preserved spoke of intention, of importance. Whoever had gathered these materials had done so with care, and with reason. The contents were removed at once, swiftly, but with the same care we had shown to the volumes. We transferred them to a chamber adjacent to the scriptorium, where both privacy and security could be assured. It is a room suited for examination and for quiet work undisturbed. What we found within is of considerable significance. I made contact with Lady Zelda without delay, so that she might be informed of the nature of this discovery. I have asked Valdemar to assist her in whatever manner she requires. The writings are in Middle High German, and while both he and I are able to guide their translation, it was noteworthy that she herself was able to discern much of their meaning without assistance. That, I will admit, was not expected. The context of these materials is of considerable historical weight, and yet I must be clear. What they contain is not something you will find recorded in the histories as they are commonly known, not within the texts preserved by institutions, nor within the accounts that have been passed down through formal study over the centuries. What has been uncovered here suggests something adjacent to history, something that existed alongside it, but was never fully brought into the light. This discovery has been, I would say, both sobering and awakening, not only for what it contains, but for how near such things have always been. even to Vale Keep itself. Within the box and among the papers and journals, there is a record of a French knight. Yes, a knight in the truest sense of the word, who bore witness to events that, even by the standards of his time, were considered beyond the natural order. He writes of things he struggled to reconcile, things he himself questioned, and in some instances feared to name directly. This man did not come to Vale Keep by chance. He came seeking refuge. And more than that, he came seeking a place where his records might be preserved, or perhaps hidden. For had he been discovered traveling with such writings, it is very likely his life would have been forfeit. The nature of what he carried was not something that would have been tolerated, nor understood, and so he entrusted these accounts to this place. Given the condition and sensitivity of these materials, we have made a deliberate decision. Lady Zelda will not be presenting the original documents on camera. They are fragile, and their preservation must take precedence. However, she has prepared a series of images, carefully rendered, so that you may gain an understanding of their form, their structure, and their presence. These will be shared with you. And now, without further delay, I will turn this over to one whose insight I believe will serve this moment well. Our Lady of Valehaven, Lady Zelda, who will guide you further into what has been found and what it may yet reveal.
And there, hello, my darlings. Welcome for coming in. I've got to tell you a little something. First of all, thank you so much for being here. It is Thursday. I have to even think. April the 16th. I have been in a whirlwind since we have found these things. Now I'm going to tell you something. Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear and see, and on that particular table, you see 3 boxes. When we made that for Lord Greggor, it was 1 box they found. And the more that they pulled away this shelf, this wall shelf, the more they found. So this has been intriguing. And I have a couple of funny stories to tell right along with it. But if you want to know, and you can see that I'm in the scriptorium right now. Technically, this is an image behind me. It is in this area up here. Now, I'm just going to tell you, my darlings, there ain't no way. If I went to Vale Keep, there ain't no way that I'm going to go up there. That is too high. And that is why the gentlemen of Vale Keep went up there, Lord Greggor and Valdemar. Now, we had Valdemar and I have kind of sort of bonded ever since Lord Greggor was in Vienna, and we sang that little song, and we had the whole pub, for lack of a better word, we had the whole pub singing Valdadi, Valdada. So, but welcome to each and every one of you coming in. Please do me a favor. Let's show Lord Greggor how much we appreciate him, because sometimes he struggles with English, just like I struggle with the Middle High German. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But if you'll please do me the solid of clicking that subscribe button and putting your beautiful DNA on the like button, I would greatly appreciate it. And thank you so much for my mods being in here. So let's see, where do I get started? Well, I'm going to start with this kind of funny story first. Okay, we're going to kind of start. And just so you know, I do believe that he is in the chat. He did tell me a little while ago that his whatever is sporadic there, but he is watching I have him here on my device. So if I need anything or if I get stuck, he's right here with us. And so that way we won't skip a beat. So when they found this and they called me, and they always call me on whatever, Zoom or whatever video call apparatus that they have. And believe me, Valdemar is way more. he knows a lot more about devices and all of this sort of thing. So there we go. So, and thank you so much. I'm seeing people that I've not seen before. And this is so exciting. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And so give me a little second here. It's the pollen. So Valdemar had me, and Lord Greggor was down over here. Now, you saw that particular room with the long table and the boxes. This is the doorway right here that you go out through to get to that room. And that room is, then you go through this little hallway and you kind of jog through a few little things. This place seriously echoes a little bit, right? So Valdemar is pulling out these boxes and he's showing me these, he's holding up documents. Now I have a bunch of notes here that I'm going to be sharing with you, but he's showing me, like holding this up to the camera and saying, Lady Zelda, you know, basically saying, can I read this? And I'm scribbling down and doing what I think, pardon me, doing what I think I can. Now, Lord Greggor mentioned Middle High German. Listen, these Germans, and I'm one, have a name for every daggone language that they, I mean, there's Middle High, there's Middle Low, there's Low German, there's High German. This is Middle High German, and Middle High German was spoken during the years of 1050 to 1350. That's how long ago. But then it was still used up into the 1830s. So it's just kind of like, now I am a little bit, just a little bit, I'm not going to brag at all about it, familiar with Middle German, because the journal that my aunt had that was from Görlitz, that was written in a Middle High German. So I'm kind of familiar. They changed the vowels around. It sounds different. I can't speak it. Valdemar can, and Lord Greggor can. Of course, they can speak French. They can speak all these things. Okay. Pardon me. So we are up on this loft. I say we, I'm there because Valdemar has me on his device. Lady Zelda, and I'm like, sprechen Sie langsamer bitte, verstehst du nicht? That means speak slower, because I'm having a hard time understanding. So he's doing this, I'm doing that. It's kind of hilarious because we're just at this point laughing because language is a barrier, definitely. And even between Lord Greggor and myself, sometimes we get to talking and it's part German, part whatever, part English. It's okay. It's okay. We telepathically. So no, we don't. But anyway, he speaks a lot of languages. Well, he's been around. Finally, we went through this. And for those of you who have been around, he does not know what I'm talking about. But remember the Honeymooners with Jackie Gleason and Art Carney? I imagined him being in this other room, being very serious, hauling things down from these mighty areas and steps and all this other. And I can imagine him going, all right, already. And all of a sudden we hear these steps, and they're not gentle steps. They're steps like intense steps, not angry, but intense. So he yells, he comes in here, he's over here, he yells up to Valdemar and myself, and he's doing, Valdemar, he's telling Valdemar what I mean. And it was kind of funny. We all kind of had a laugh at that because it was kind of like, okay. He wasn't mad, frustrated, because, this was serious and frustrating. So there we are. Pardon me. Had to have a little drink. So, ladies and gentlemen who are here and friends of Vale Keep, what these 3 boxes, and I've got a lot of visuals I'm going to show you tonight. If you're ready, let me see where I am here. These 3 boxes, there's one behind me. I'm going to describe it. 2 of them were wooden. One of them is like an iron with leather. And in these boxes were torn out journal pages, journals, all kinds of things that were going on. And amazingly enough, between Lord Greggor and Valdemar, they were literally able to get, oops, I just cut myself off there. Hello, thank you. They were able to get these, they were able to get, aren't you going to cooperate? No, I don't think that this is going to cooperate. That's okay. We're going to go back to the future here. So anyway, they were able to put them in some semblance of order from beginning to end. So let me share with you, my darlings, what this is all about. I'm going to go back into the scriptorium. Now, the reason they call it a scriptorium is because in the beginning days, in the early days, before Lord Greggor, his family, anybody else got there, it was a chapel. This was a chapel, and you can see that there's some stained glass up here. Now, if you were standing in the middle of this room, ahead, so the opposite side of this fireplace, there was another fireplace across from it, just like it. So it's like an identical room. So I put the table there. So anyway, this is, let me start showing you what we have. And let me get to that point. Hello. Bear with me. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your patience. So this night, and he names names, and frankly, we discussed it, and I don't think it's a good thing to name some names, and I'm going to tell you why, because there's a mention of different metaphysical curses that are in there. Now look, we don't believe in curses, but this was a curse that was used on another knight, and I'll explain that. This knight was seeking refuge and came to Vale Keep and evidently sat down at one of the tables and wrote for days. In fact, he was not even recognized that he was there. He was just writing frantically, putting these journals together, these papers, these notes. In fact, he was writing over some documents that were just laying out and around. He took them and wrote over them. We don't think that they were important, but it seemed like he was that frantic. So here, I'm going to try to paint the picture for you of the Carpathian arc of where this wood may have been. Now, I'm going to show you the Carpathian arc. Oops, no, I'm not. Let me get rid of this. How, Zelda? Come on now, girl. Give me a second. Don't worry, Lord Greggor. I've got this. I've got this. Okay. No, wait. Let me take this away here. No. Let me see. Do I have? My apologies, my darlings. Oh, there we go. There, my darlings. Now, this is a replica map that Lord Greggor has hanging in his personal study. This map dates to 1190. And the reason that I wanted to just copy it, this is a copy, is because I wanted you to see the ley lines back in those days. The red mark that you see around the arc right there in the kingdom of Hungary, that right there, you'll see at the top it says Šumava Silva, and then it goes into the Carpathian arc, which are the mountains. That is the gateway. Those are treacherous mountains that live, oops, don't want you there, okay, that the veil is very thin. Now, let me change back to the scriptorium where I need to be. There we are. And let me pull up some of these things. Now, I'm going to put, oh, I need some fire, don't I? We need a fireplace. What's going on, Zelda? What's going on? There we go. There we are. Got the fireplace. All right. And I know that Captain Jerry is telling me to put my code up, so there it is. And thank you so much. All right. So now, my darlings, I'm going to set the center stage, if I can, for you, because I want you to see this. This is what I have made. And let me put myself down here in the corner. What you are seeing is a replica or an imagination based on what the writings were from this particular night. This particular night was, we believe, between the ages of 23 and 25, something right around in there. The way he talked about family, the way he talked about others. In the background, you're seeing buildings because there was a lot of conflict back then. We do not know where he was coming from, except that he said in the writings that he was seeking refuge. That's what we have to look at right now. So now let me say this. Disclaimer, okay? From everything that I've seen, this isn't a true accounting of what has happened to this knight. I'm not going to use the names. I'm not going to use anything, but the knight that wrote this and brought it to Vale Keep witnessed this, witnessed what had happened, witnessed what is going on. So let me share this with you. Got to get out my notes. So I want to make sure. So the dated archives, the anonymous ledgers, we call them anonymous. We know it's a knight. He didn't really sign his sword. He didn't really, but notice he had mentioned in the writings that they stood by the cross. Now, I want you to notice that there were no shoes. And I want you to notice how bony those footprints are that are in that particular area around the cross. The bottom line, what I'm going to be telling you, is about a forbidden philosophy. It is a metaphysical discussion and a dissolution. It describes this other knight, and I'm going to call him the unmaker. And you'll see in just a minute. He sought to create a perpetual sentinel, a soldier who would never tire, never have to eat, he would never die, and he was fueled entirely by the energy of the veil. The veil is the thinnest around the Carpathian Arc because it sets up so high. But because of that, the geography, and I'm going to tell you about the Carpathian Arc, it is not merely a mountain range. It is a metaphysical fault line. Now, Lord Greggor was a little taken back when I was sharing a lot of this with him because he's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We would have never known. We would have never known. In the 14th century, the tectonic plates of reality shifted here. Now, we've talked about tectonic plates, and those are energy plates, and those also surround the pyramids in Egypt. This shift created a permanent thinning between our world and the deep arc. So why there? Why was it there? Well, because the limestone and the iron deposits were within the mountains actually acted as natural conductors for the frequencies of the veil, and chose this location specifically because the energy required to the unmaker a soul that had already been leaking through to the earth. Now, Lord Greggor has nothing to do with this. This is before his time, so I just want you to know, okay? So there's a gateway. Actually, we found out that Vale Keep was built directly atop of a seal. That is a seal as in SEAL. A point of high stability designed to plug a specific hole in the arc, meaning not allowing anything to come through. This is why the fortress is the only place where this particular knight could not have tread. And this is the unmaker knight. The unmaker was a knight himself. The French knight was able to get through because he didn't have that persona about him. But the unmaker thought he was God, and he wanted to take on the attributes of God. And it was written in these documents. This unmaker knight cannot tread anywhere near there. The architecture itself is the antithesis of a breach. There's absolutely no way that it could ever happen. So here's the bottom line. This unmaker self-nominated a gentleman who was another knight that he decided to build the curse on. Now, the images that I'm about to show you are very very close, but I have changed some things because I don't want to show these here, but I do want you to see the integrity and know that it has nothing to do with the writing and the warning in the passage. Remember, Vale Keep is hundreds of years old, so there was a lot going on there. And like I said, this is like a metaphysical fault line. So I'm going to show you this first. I'm going to show you this. This kind of sorta is one of the pages that was drawn out. Now, of course, these drawings are much better because we want you to understand this is part of the spell book that the Unmaker Knight used to convert the good knight. So what you see on the left is the knight before he was changed into this demon hunter. And that's the whole thing. Now, I'm going to give you another thing. This represents sort of, kind of, it is a sigil. This is a Triskelion anomaly sigil. I have changed it so that way you do not have to worry. So that way there's no problems. And if somebody copies it, they can't do anything with it because it does not hold the magical properties. But I want you to notice that there's the heart at the bottom of that sigil. And there's also talking about the ozone layer, many, many things. Here is another page. This was, and actually it did have some red. We don't know how the red color got there, but it did have some red color in the heart. And this was during the change process of which the unmaker was taking matters into his own hands, wanting this knight to become a demon hunter. Now, I'm going to give you the idea that I know all of you have talked about and you know about the Knights Templar. Well, that's not about the Knights Templar, but this was a group that took it upon themselves to break away from their normal regimen and become that in which they would hunt demons. Because believe me, especially back in that day, and I got to tell you this, back in those days, everything was romantic like this. And I say romantic because, listen, if you lived back in those days, every which way you turn, there was a spell here, there was a curse there, there was an anomaly here, there was a sigil there. And quite frankly, there are sigils all over Vale Keep. You just haven't seen them because they're things that you don't show, but they're protection. We don't have to worry about Vale Keep. We don't have to worry about Lord Greggor. And I actually found out some things about him too. I'm going to share. It kind of fills in a lot of the gap, right? Nothing worse or nothing better. Nothing at all except good. So this is the architect of the curse, and it's the unmaker. He had a forbidden philosophy that he was a master of metaphysical disillusion. He believed that the soul was not a single unit, but a series of frequencies that could be unmapped and re-anchored. The unmaker carried a black grimoire around his massive body. He wore, and these are the words of this French knight, he wore a massive iron-bound book chained to his waist. And remember how I've always said, iron. Iron is protection. Iron, iron. It wasn't a book of spells. It was a technical manual for unmaking God's work. So he appointed himself to go in and try to make these men. He failed on many accounts, but this one particular night, it came to pass. And he was a knight, K-N-I-G-H-T. So he was motivated. He sought to create what is called a perpetual sentinel, a soldier who would never eat, never die. He was fueled entirely by the veil. He did not have to sleep. He did not have to rest. He did not have to do anything. The unmaker was a 14th century knight of immense faith and physical prowess. His deception convinced this perpetual sentinel, this good knight, this gentleman, that to truly protect humanity from the deep arc of the demonic realm, he had to be inoculated by it. There we go. So basically, he took it on himself to give little inoculation, right? There's what's called a grafting process, my darlings. And I'm going to change this right here into the next page that we made. Because now you can see this gentleman's heart. Anatomia anomaly. Now, a lot of this is in Latin. Some of it you can't read. And of course, you're going to see the sigils there. Don't worry, they're not they're not active, so nothing is going to harm you or hurt you. The ones in the books are the real ones, so we didn't want to show you. So there was a grafting process, and this was not a spell. It was a biological, spiritual surgery. He used the Triskelion sigil. Now let me get this back again, right here. This is what he used, was the Triskelion sigil. It's a threefold geometric lock to graft the knight's soul to the fabric of the veil. Now, this particular graft consumed the knight's physical biology. His marrow in his bones were replaced by ichor. Ichor is kind of like a metaphysical blood that runs through your veins. It takes over your body. His flesh dissolved. And this is what this French knight who sought refuge, because he knew if he would have told what he saw, this unmaker, due to this gentleman, the knight that was being transformed, he himself would lose his life. He became a machine of bone. And let me get you, my darlings, this other, let me show you. This is the graft book. Now, this is I don't want to say exactly, but this is kind of the way it looked. There were different smudges, and we don't know, quite frankly, there's a thought perhaps of maybe that this particular knight was able to extract some of the red stuff and put into his journal to make sure that it was kind of like a mark at that particular time. So this person, let me get to this next. You're gonna like this one. This is what he became. Let me do this. Whoops, hello. No, we don't want to do that. Get out. This is what it was written that he looked like, my darlings. He was a calcified immortal skeleton fused into a 14th century plate armor that is now more spirit matter than iron. Yeah, this is pretty intense. When we were translating this, I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is we're watching a movie here. So let me go back here and let me look at things. So I talked about the ichor. It is a viscous, iridescent, violet fluid that serves as the knight's blood. And it is a metabolical waste of the veil. Let me put this back again. So now this makes a lot of sense when we look at this other You see how iridescent, how purple, and now this explains the footprints that you're seeing and why they look so bony. Now, this unmaker guy tried this before. He tried it before and he failed. The people unfortunately lost their lives because if you're not able or capable of withstanding this type of thing, but this particular knight knew that he was kind of trying to take over for God. So let me do this. Let me check here. So this whole renovation of Vale Keep, and I'm going to put this up here for you right now, my darlings. This whole renovation of Vale Keep that you see right there, this map is without the third floor. And you're going to be seeing this. This is kind of a architectural, it's not, believe me, it's not to scale. One of my drawings ain't perfect, I can tell you that. But this is it's going to be pared down. And here's the unbelievable thing, not unbelievable, but amazing thing, is that during this renovation, they're not just fixing stones, it's awakening an archive. So by talking about this demon hunting knife or knight, we're bringing the unmaker's work to light, and that's what we need to do. It is seriously, we do not know if the penitent knight is still alive. They basically said that he lived past 700 years. Lord Greggor says, let me see if I can put this here. Let me get this. Thank you. Okay. Let me see. So here's what I want to do before I do this, okay? I want to go through the consumption diagram. Where is this? Here it is. This is the consumption diagram. And basically, it shows the parts of the armor. It shows a lot of these different things. This page illustrates the primary tragedy of the unmaker's existence and the systematic consumption of his humanity by this graft. I'm sorry, I missaid that. It's not the unmaker. This is the penitent knight. So it is showing the tragedy that was written in this book. Let me see what else. This, once again, this sigil, it's called a Triskelion anomaly. This is expanding on the consumption that this image presents the anomaly as a finalized biological machine. It contrasts with the human knight against the resulting mechanism of bone and old iron. And believe me, this is really, really something. Now, next up, my darlings, is this is what is called, where is it? Maybe, here is the, again, this is considered to be an ozone scent. This diagram unifies visual lore with the unique sensory that the scent of this graft, this image, is the tactical explanation of why these things have been recorded. So very, very good. Now, let me get back some other things because there's more. There's more. There's more. Can there be more, Zelda? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, there's more. But pardon me, I will take a break here just for a minute because I don't want to overload your donkeys, okay? And I can answer some questions about this. And let me get to those points where we can do that. Because I do want to share some things with you about Lord Greggor that I found out. Not that. Not that. Let's see. Oh, at one point, this particular French knight that was at Vale Keep that was writing everything down referred to being the Order of the Broken Sword. Some sources linked him to a fragmented secret sect of knights who believed the church was too soft on the invisible plague of the demonic influence, so they operated in the cellars, the catacombs, and deep forests, leaving no records for the Inquisition to find. See, there was inquisitions, there were all kinds of things going on, church craziness at that particular time. So here's when let's talk about the thinning of the veil. This is where Lord Greggor comes in. So when applied to a veilborn, that is Lord Greggor, an immortal, the connection becomes deeply structural in their existence. Now, the occult and in Gothic lore, that's what it is. It's what it's called back in those days. The veil, and that is spelled Veil. It's not the same as Vale Keep, which is Vale. So the veil is an energetic barrier that separates the physical world, which is considered to be the mundane, from the spiritual or the ethereal realms, which is the beyond. So the veil separates those two parts. The thinness refers to the geographical locations of the specific moments in time where density of this barrier fluctuates. In this liminal spaces, such an ancient crypts, crossroads, or sites of immense historic drama, the laws of physics, here we go, physics has entered the chat. The laws of physics and the laws of the spirit world begin to bleed into one another. So you can't see, this is what I've always said. And it's so funny because Lord Greggor and myself have had these conversations. And that is, it's almost hard to believe in one and not the other. And that's what got me into the paranormal. And I really don't like that word, but for lack of a better word, right? But for me, I have to believe in the word because there's so much that's unanswered in the paranormal and vice versa. And sometimes they cross paths and it's very interesting. So for this demon hunter, the one that was changed into the skeletal, these thin spots were tactical. They were only placed where you could physically manifest an entity. So he was able to manifest these demonics coming in, these demonic entities, to strike it, or where he could step aside out of the human perception to track his prey. So he basically waited for these demon type entities to come across, and then he would take them out, bottom line. So let me now get to some other goodies. and I will try to answer your questions. I mean, I've got page after page in another book over here of things that we have found, but I think I've given you a lot of things. There's one part about here that I wanted to read to you. Let me find this. Oh, I've got to tell you something. When we were doing this and I said, I've got to go live, Lord Greggor is going, do you think that they would really be interested in this? Yes, 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 and yes, they will be. Yes, they are. So he's sitting here watching and kind of, I think he's smiling. I haven't seen him. So let's see. Okay, so the philosophy of this unmaker, we're going to call him, he had an obsession with God's creations. He believed that he could truly understand the universe, and in order to do that, one must be able to pull it apart, lay it bare, and see the mechanics underneath. He views the veil not as a sacred barrier, but as a lock he intended to pick. Now, you know what? That's kind of scary because you're kind of wondering, here is a man that went too far. Here is a man that lived in these 14th century and turned to the metaphysical, the graphs, the sigils, the books of Grimoire. I would like to find that book of Grimoire. I mean, I wouldn't read it. Lord Greggor could, but he would tell me what's going on in that. So, but technically, Lord Greggor, being Veilborn, belongs to that space. And he is considered to be a natural manifestation of the veil, unlike the unmaker. Now let me see. Oh my! I had this marked about where. Now I asked Lord Greggor how he felt about this, and basically said that the unmaker was the architect of the ego. The penitent knight, the victim, I'm just going to say, was the weapon. This group, the resistance, basically was fueled by fear. And that's it. And Lord Greggor's part of this is the witness and of the truth. So here's the thing. I don't think I mean, there's no way that I'm going to say, oh, Lord Greggor, can you go into the Carpathian Mountains and see if this, there's absolutely no, and I'm sure that if that thing was still around, and I say that thing because now it really is an abomination of man and of human, because it has overtaken him. If that were the choice, but Lord Greggor won't do that. And I'm sure he could find him, but he's not. He won't do it. He won't do it. So here's an interesting little fact. For a mortal, the world is solid. For Lord Greggor, the world is translucent, meaning there's so much more to see than what meets the eye. He just doesn't see the trees in the forest. He sees the ichor trails as well. So guess what he has? It is called veil sight. He received that when he was 19 years old, when he took the oath to become immortal. And bottom line, the reason that Lord Greggor did it was because he was to be assigned a protector. And now we understand. Now we understand why. although it is sort of kind of too late because there's nothing going on at Vale Keep anymore. I mean, there's, all of this metaphysical stuff has kind of gone down, it's no longer around. But that's the bottom line of it. That's the bottom line. So I can't find that part on Lord Greggor, but I think that I have basically shared with you just about everything that I wanted to share. And some things about the ozone scent, and you did see that in one of these books or one of these pages that I made. The most vital forensic clue: when the night is near, the air smells. What does that think? The first thing that I thought of: vampirism. Vampire. But it smells of lightning in a graveyard. Have you ever been in a graveyard and it's rained? There's something about a graveyard and it just gets done lightning. There's a particular smell. And I believe that it is a particular smell of, could be anything because it depends on how old the graveyard is. But back then, they didn't have embalming. And in many places in Europe, they don't. So there was a particular smell that smelled when lightning came around. The environmental decay. So wherever the night would step, the ichor wilts the reality. Grass turns to black ash. Water turns stagnant, and the earth looks like it is scorched by fire, just like in this one image that we have right here. And that's where I got the description to make this image for you so you could see. There are no current threats to Vale Keep, Lord Greggor, me, or even you for watching this. I don't want you to think that there are. This is, another thing is the environmental decay. The ichor wilts the reality. And this looks like it should be a cold fire. So this is so, to me, this is so interesting. I have read over these documents over and over and over again. It's just, for me, so intriguing that these things exist. So I know someone is going to say, what happens now? What happens? Let me put the let me take this guy down. We'll hide him and we'll put me back up there. So what happens now? Well, what happens now is that Lord Greggor continues to go through these documents. He puts them in a safe place. He'll probably call someone in from Vienna or Prague, or someone else, or somewhere else, and have them look at it, because this is a part of history. It's a part of that history that we are never told. And along with this, most likely comes other things I want you to know. So we're kind of bracing ourselves because we feel more are to come. So what will he do with them? He's going to keep them. They are a part of Vale Keep for right now because he doesn't want them to fall into the wrong hands. He wants to make sure that if he stores them somewhere, it's probably in some type of monastery somewhere. Now, the other thing that these documents revealed was that the unmaker finally passed away. And I say finally because he lived a long time. And that's it. But we're not sure if the penitent sentinel or the demon hunter is still out there. It was even said that there is a place in Europe that there are some entities that are kept, that are chained below ground, below it's, I don't know if it's a church, I don't know if it's a monastery. Lord Greggor is not telling me, and probably that's the good thing to do. So that's what's going on, my darlings. That's what was found. Do you have any questions? Let me see. Kimberly says this. Is it safe to call someone to come in? Yes, it is safe to call someone to come in because they are not active now. We just don't want somebody looking at this stream and saying, oh, there's a sigil. Let me copy it. Let me try to make something out of somebody that, that, because you always go through that. And that's the thing. So you always go through that. Yes, they do know. In fact, his steward, his groundskeeper, his great-grandfather fought in World War II. I'm sorry, World War I, and was friends with Lord Greggor during that time. So they know. And it was a lot of the people that work now there, that our staff were, that are local to the area, they understand the situation. But Lord Greggor is good to them. He gives, he's very good to them and takes care of them and so forth. But a lot of those people are now the grandchildren and great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren of those. So there we are. Let me see. Does his staff know? Yes, they do. Why those 3 caskets were held in the well, they're not caskets, my darling. They are just small boxes. They're small boxes to keep it, the journals and papers and so forth. So they're not full caskets. Yeah, there are entities that are held underground. And I want you to come over to my stream on Saturday night. We might be talking a little bit about that and some other good things. Are the staff immortal? No, they are not immortal. They are mortal. They are human. Well, he's human, but they are mortal, and they are the grandchildren and great-grandchildren now. Could it be that it was sealed below Vale Keep's guard tower? No, it was sealed in this particular area of the loft. And he talked about being here in the scriptorium. I added this table because, got to decorate. I added this table. But during that time, let me show you, during that particular time when he could have been there, there would have been long, I'm going to call them banquet tables. So there you go. So anyway, there you go. Gina, bless you. And I want to thank you so much for sending the cat food, my darling. I just got it. And what a blessing that you are. Thank you. So Zelda, you mentioned a few months ago about 2-book series called Anatomy and Immortality. Okay. When you mentioned graveyards and spells, it mentions that in the book. No. This particular book that I know you're referring to is called Mortal Principles for Immortal Living. Wow, why can't I talk? Erase that. It is called Immortal Principles for Mortal Living. It doesn't mention anything about graveyard smells or anything like that. Maybe where you've gotten that from is me talking about how, through personal experience, when I was with Anne Rice a few years ago in New Orleans, how vampires, how they smelled so horribly bad I can't even explain to you how bad they were. So anyway, we have a few little things here. Let me get this out. My darling Terry, oh my gosh. Now listen, I want you to check your email tomorrow, okay? Thank you for the knowledge. Blessings always. You're welcome, my darling, and thank you. I hope you had a wonderful birthday. And Zonia, thank you so much for the super sticker. That is so nice for you to do. Thank you, thank you. There we go. So, you speak of this, and there are movies out too there. I don't know. I mean, there's always going to be some type of movie out to where something. I mean, certainly we're not the only people that know this, and that's the whole thing. We're not the only people. We do have the names. We're not going to give them because, you know, we just want to be careful. For right now, we're going to have some people come in. He is going to have them come in and look them over and go from there. So Lord Greggor feels these are artifacts are looked at. It would be safer stored in a monastery than put artifacts in a vault at the Vale Keep. Well, since there are renovations going on at Vale Keep, they would be placed in a secure and safe place, but I don't know. I don't know what his plans are. He'll probably tell me when he's done doing it. So, and that's fine. Let her rip, tater chip. That's all I got to say. Let her go. Let her go. Patty, there you go, my darling. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, thank you. But, you know, you have to think about something. Even Stranger Things on Netflix had a basis. The Psychics of Montauk Island, okay? So there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new. There's not anything that someone hasn't thought about. I've always said about Stephen King's writing, about different things like that, I have always said, you know, it is who thinks up these things sometimes. You either have to have a vivid imagination, or there has to be something wrong, and it could be both things. But there's always some foundation for something. We were astonished at what we were able to find. Now, some of these documents we can't translate because some of them are smudged. A couple of them are faded and ruined. We're not going to guess what's there, but this is pretty much the bottom line of what we found out. So that's it. So this whole thing with this French knight dates back, we're thinking between 1390 and 1428 is what we're thinking. So, but it's amazing. But it goes into detail about the sigils and the graphs and what it looks like. And it's because evidently this French knight had a first person experience with it. So yeah, this is pretty amazing. Very, very amazing. I don't know. I think I showed you this book right here. Yes. This is part of the graph, and this is what I was, to tell you the truth, really more interested in studying this book than anything. But I'm going to tell you from my own perspective. Thank you, Gina. I'm going to tell you from my own perspective. I think sometimes these things are scary. For me, they're scary. And it's not the metaphysical that is scary, but it's the idea that someone would do this to someone else. Because the idea to make someone, this guy is beyond immortal. This knight, this penitent knight, the demon hunter, from what we understand, he won't expire. he won't die. Now, Lord Greggor will have his day. He just lives longer than a lot of other people. But to me, that's scary. And especially when you're thinking to go back to that time period, that particular time period, and the energy that you put into something like this, I kind of don't take this wrong, but I ask, was this unmaker knight off of his rocker? Obviously so. In order to do that, but to give a detailed account of this. And he's, in fact, Lord Greggor has really never been up and around. He's walked up and around here before. But this whole area looks a lot nicer than what it is. It's starting to crumble. And that's why they're up there pulling these out, because they want to get the third floor off. And we don't want anything to be happening like that. I'm not sure, Carrie, what you mean by a reading on a night on the. We really don't want to know if he's around. I really don't want to. I mean, what will we do? He's dangerous. What will we do? He's no longer human. So really, what would we do with him? He's not the kind of guy you can just kind of, bring over for dinner. I mean, take a look. Now, I will tell you, the images that I saw in these particular pages, pardon me, I just hit this, pardon me a second. In these particular pages, this guy was a lot more buff. I just kept his armor off of him so you could really see that this is supposed to be what he was. Yeah, Jason, somebody said Jason and the Argonauts for sure. So not hot, that's for sure. Well, first of all, I'm positive, we are positive he's somewhere in the Carpathian. There are, let me show you this. Let me get this through here. You see, that's the Carpathian Arc. This map is from the year 1190. That's why you see the Kingdom of Italy, the Kingdom of Hungary. That red mark is the Carpathian, what they call the Carpathian Arc. And then the mountains do move into, closer to the water and so forth. But that whole area is nothing but filled with metaphysical things, as in watchers, shapeshifters. Those are the American words for them, so you understand. But shapeshifters, all that. That's kind of what this box looks like. So there are 3 boxes that looks like this. Carrie, I know exactly who you're talking about, and that is the boy. For those of you who don't know, there was a young man that was from the UK that he went hiking near Bram Stoker's castle there in Transylvania, which, by the way, don't go. It's a tourist trap. Not Bram Stoker, Dracula. Bram Stoker. Why can't I talk today? Bram Stoker was not even near there. He was not even near Poneri Castle. Anyway, it's a fake castle for Dracula. But this young man went to close to there during November when they had the big snows, the big storms. And you know what? He went out, he placed a distress call to whatever their equivalent to 911 was, and said he was cold, he was disoriented, he was hungry. They got there. It was near that particular castle. He had left his rucksack, he left all these other things, and he was gone. And he's not been found. and his mother has been there from the beginning. It's so sad. But my question is, he was like 18 years old and from a university in the UK. What are you thinking? Going to that particular area by yourself? What are you thinking, my darling? So yeah, I think of him. I try to get updates from him all the time, and it's so very sad. Welcome to everybody coming in. Please do me a favor, like and subscribe, and click that notification bell. But that's what's good. I don't know, Aunt Baby. Why would he do that? Or we don't know. We don't know. He had a good life that he was leading. We don't know if he was just doing it on a dare or because he wanted to or whatever it was. I don't know. Susan says, if things like this existed, then with today's technology, I don't even want to imagine what could become. Listen, I want to tell you something, my darlings, and I keep saying this over and over. Everybody is so frightened of AI. I mean, to me, that's the least of our worries. There are portals that open. There are all kinds of craziness that is happening in the world, and people aren't paying attention to it. They're so distracted by the fear placed into them about AI that they don't even hear. Yeah. So let me see. Somebody said something here. Let me try to catch up here. Vlad the Impaler. And I gotta tell you something. We are told a different story about Vlad the Impaler. He was supposed to be a devout Christian that was just taking care of business with the Ottoman soldiers. See, I don't know. But over there, where they are, where that castle is in Hungary and Transylvania, they teach that he's a hero and that he wasn't that thirsty guy, supposedly, allegedly. I don't know. The jury's out for me. I mean, I know things were different back in those days and in those years. I mean, hello, let's just go have somebody and impale them for, I don't know. The knight wears armor, and he does not have a horse. That's what we understand by the writings. So, did you ever hear of a missing, hi my darling, of a missing woman named Carrie Culberson? It's from my hometown in Blanchester, Ohio. No, my darling, I'm actually from Ohio. No, I haven't heard of her. Give us a brief little overview if you get a chance. Let me see if there's any. Did I miss any questions? Anybody have any questions, my darling? Listen, I just want to thank you for coming in because this is something that's so interesting to us. We just think that it's very wonderful. So let me see this. I really don't want to answer a lot of this stuff on this channel, but I will tell you I have an issue with it. I have an issue with it. And I feel that a lot of things that he has said is plausible, but I also, there's something there that, I don't know. I don't know. Let me see. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Did you know that the little king said he would like to be Vlad? Yes. Yes. I did. Yes. Yes. She went missing in the 90s. No body was ever found, but her boyfriend was convicted for the murder. I'm going to look into that one. Okay, I'm going to look into that one. It's amazing. You know, isn't it amazing that so many people go missing? But when I read some of these big things, because quite frankly, there are some other books in this library that he has read to me that makes you kind of wonder. And you know, just like that portal in the woods that I witnessed that girl going up those steps in the middle of the woods and just disappeared. Don't ever do that. Don't go into the woods by yourself. No, don't do it. Thanks for sharing. Is that a crossroad in the picture of the cross and the sword buried in the ground? Yes, let me show it to you again so you can see it a little better. There we are. Oh, let me take this guy off. Hello, can't see anything now, can you? Let me take him off there. Whoops. Zelda, goodbye. There we are. So it's kind of this crossroads, and it's a crossroad of you have a decision, you know? And I had to you have to wonder too what this penitent knight was thinking. No, the crossroad is not where you're welcome, my darling. The crossroad is not where the veil is created. Not at all. The veil is above us. It's in the atmosphere. So you can think of it, it separates the world from the mundane to the spirit beyond. It is considered to be built over a seal, which basically would stop anything that would come around. So that's what I found in the documentation, putting two and two together. So the Vale Keep, we just don't even know how to date it, because limestone, you can't date limestone, and the whole catacombs below the Vale Keep are all limestone. And there are candles that burn there. There are, I mean, I don't even want to think about it, but some of those areas are locked and you don't go through them. He makes sure, like, when I go there, I won't be going into the catacombs. I can guarantee you that. Not because I want to, because I don't want to. So, okay. I'm good, but if I decide to, I'll call you Elsie. I'll feel better. Oh my God, it's okay, my darlings. So, you know, here's the thing. You pray, you keep your faith, because my darlings, I think a lot of this we've been purposely kept in the dark. And a lot of it are the churches over the years. Maybe you felt it's good. This is my image. So I made this just because I feel that there's a particular crossroad in all of our lives where we can decide where we go, where we don't go. So this is my image to basically really drive it home as to, you see the feet on one side, feet on the other. What pathway will you take? What pathway will there be? So these are my images. Not this one is my image, and so is the other one. The top of the sword, is that a Celtic? Yes. Thank you, Patty. Thank you, thank you. I have added new merchandise in this shop, my darlings, if you want to take a look at it. It is, we're very happy and proud of it. So we want to thank you too for just stopping by and taking a look. So let me take this image off and there we are. There you go. Now, the image, they do have an image in the journals of what this night looks like. And I'm just going to tell you the image, um, the image was a lot beefier, and he had a helmet on, like at one of those 1500 um, armor, the armor helmet. And he was buff. I did this because I wanted you to see there ain't nothing to him but meat and bones, or not even meat. There's just bones. There's just bones. Let me see here. Um, is that fog in the background ozone? No, it's from me. It's for effect. That's all it is. It's for the effect. Is this maybe the Mothman and Dogman could have evolved? No. No, this is Europe. This is most likely where, I don't know. Lord Greggor has some ideas, but I mean, we're talking some heavy duty manipulation. And by, just so you know, there are some with the church that were happy with this. Let me just tell you that. They were happy that this happened because, back in the day, fighting demons was the thing. It was the gig. Plus, you had all kinds of plagues and wars and all kinds of different things. Vale Keep has been considered a safe haven of Central Europe, the noblemen. So yeah, yes, Carrie, does me too. Does me too. You're welcome, Gina. Thank you so much. Well, with my darlings, with that being said, I'm going to say good night to you. I'm going to have a little something to eat. Gosh, I'm so happy that you're here. Don't forget, come over Saturday night to be with me. Okay. Oh, here we are. Yeah, I did hear that. No, you're fine. You're fine. I heard that the hairs, but I don't get excited about anything that they come up with, only because I don't get excited over any of that stuff right now. I mean, it could be anybody's hair. But what are they going to do if they find a hair? Most likely it's a family member hair. What are they going to do? I don't know if you know this or not, and I don't know if it's true. But there was someone in our comments, pardon me, there was someone in the comments on my other channel that said that her granddaughter was playing soccer or something with a little boy, and he was talking about all these things, and that he had to go and talk with the FBI that afternoon. And lo and behold, when the parents came to pick him up, it was, guess who the parents were? I don't know if that's true, but I don't know. I don't know. There's something to all that, right? There's just something to all that. Yeah, they've been in there 5 times. They're just now finding them. Yeah, see, that's the whole thing. When did they find these? But evidently they were in Florida, and now they are going up to the FBI. Pardon me, up to Quantico. So that's what I know. That's what I know. Give me a second. Oh my goodness, hold on, my darlings. Hold on. See, I don't have the notifications on my phone. And he's sitting here just kind of grinning. Jacqueline, thank you so much, my darling, for the very generous cash app. Bless you. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. See, sometimes Lord Greggor gets a little discouraged because, he doesn't know how this stuff goes. But we do, don't we? We know how it goes. And look, I'm going to share whatever we find. And if we don't find anything, I'm going to share that too. That's just the way it is. Oh, sure. I have one last note. I left. No, you're fine. I can type it again if you miss or say it's about for mentioning Saturday. Honey, you're not a bother and you're not disrespectful. Let me see if I can find your note. Let me go back here a second. I tell you what, if you don't mind writing it again, you're not disrespectful at all, my darling. You can write it again. We're getting ready to go out anyway. I do have another question here I'm going to answer. So in the meantime, if you want to write that, that'll be fine. Someone had a question about, hold on, King Arthur, and it is intriguing. Here we are, Jackie. Oh, thank you, Jackie. Thank you. I've asked him about that, and he says, no, it's not. But he said that during, even during those times, however, he also told me there's a burial spot near the tree that is supposed to be someone that was like him where that story came from. It would kind of be nice to think about that, wouldn't it? Susan, thank you so much. And you have a great evening, and so glad you liked it. We know the drill. That's right. We do. We know the drill. And you know what? I'm going to say here, I'm going to bring back 4 episodes of Help I'm Haunted on my channel. I decided that today. I got too many stories to tell. So we're going to keep bringing things like this during the renovations. We're going to keep thinking, we're going to just keep thinking about a lot of things, right? That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. So I want to thank each and every one of you. My darling, I didn't see. I don't know what that was. All right. Thank you, StreamYard. Let me go back and see if I can find it again, just really fast. Oh, is it the one about the Celtic? The top of the sword is a Celtic? I answered yes, but I don't know what sword you're really talking about. So maybe I may have to amend it. Oh, okay. Here we go. Oh, sure. As a last side note for the Harry Culberson case, the convicted boyfriend of the family lived a block away from me. Don't care with a lion in it. Oh. Oh, that would have been horrible. Hold on. I've got to write that case down. Listen, it's like the algorithm has my number, if you know what I mean. Because the algorithm pretty much says, we know that you deal with missing persons, and we know that you do. So we're just going to dump them all from the Talkie Tick and from the Tubes of You and from the Book of Faces. Now, I'm not on the Book of Faces, but if I sign on to see what's happening, it is like zing, 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 zing. So let me write her name down. Culberson, and that is in Ohio. Okay, gotcha. All right. Information you won't find in the news. Yeah, I get that. And because have you noticed that the news only prints what they really want to print? There you go. There you go. All right, so we're going to do this. So, my darlings, I'm going to let my little scribbler go take us out. Thank you so much. Lord Greggor says to thank you, each and every one of you, for being here. He is pleasantly surprised that you all would like this, and I knew that you would. I knew you would. Thanks again for being here. And remember, Blanchester, Ohio. There you go. The chief, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Why is it the chiefs always seem to mess up these cases? Anyway, my darlings, do me a favor. I don't have an outro. I don't have an outro screen for this, so we're just going to scribble to Poe, okay? But thank you so much. Be safe. Be kind. Take care of yourself, and remember, always stay on this side of the veil. Bye for now.